Welcome back to the lab. I'm the Pyromaniac, and today we're going to be making gunpowder the old-fashioned way. There are three main ingredients that you'll need to make your old-fashioned gunpowder. The first ingredient is sulfur. I bought mine on Amazon.com. It was about 10 bucks, but it needs to be 100% sulfur. That's important for the project. The second ingredient you'll need is charcoal. Charcoal is basically just a big block of carbon. The important part is that the charcoal is pure, and that's what we need. Our last ingredient is potassium nitrate. Potassium nitrate is a white powder, and it's mainly used as a stump remover. I bought mine at Menards. Some tools you'll need for this project include a scale, so we can measure amounts for all of our ingredients. Some plastic cups and spoons so that we can put each component into its own separate cup and stir it with its own utensil. And lastly, you'll need a mortar and pestle. This is basically just a crucible with a stick so that you can crush all of your powders into a fine dust. Let's start by processing all of our charcoal into a fine powder. I've decided to split up the charcoal into portions because this is a lot harder than it looks. Well, after 10 minutes of grinding up the charcoal and making an enormous mess, I finally managed to get the charcoal into a powder. Unfortunately, I don't believe this powder is fine enough, so we're going to have to use a sifter to get only the finest particles out of it.
It's important that when you weigh a chemical on a scale, that you tare the weight of the container. Basically, this means you're subtracting the weight of the container from the scale so that when you add your chemical, you only have the weight of the chemical on the scale. This is important because we only want 15 grams of charcoal. I noticed when I was weighing my charcoal that the scale was reading in ounces and I wanted it to read in grams because I only want 15 grams. The chemical ratio for gunpowder is 75%, 15%, and 10% for potassium nitrate, charcoal powder, and sulfur respectively. This means that if we want a 100 gram batch, we're going to need 75 grams of potassium nitrate, 15 grams of charcoal powder, and 10 grams of sulfur. This is the final step. We have all of our portions measured out, and we just need to mix all of our ingredients together till we get our 100 gram batch. It's important that if you use a stirring utensil to mix your components together, that you use something that is not conductive of electricity. For example, a wood pencil, as I'm using, or a plastic straw. Either or will work. The idea here is that we don't want to conduct any static electricity into the mix, which could cause it to explode. Here I'm just using 2 cups to pour the mix back and forth. I want my mix to be as thoroughly mixed as possible. And this is what the final product should look like. Gunpowder.
Now remember, do not try this at home. Always have fire prevention on hand, and whenever you are working with something that can burn you or explode, remember to wear safety glasses and body protection. Not quite like that. That's much better. Now we can get started. First, let's start by testing a sample of our coarse powder. Now, let's measure out some of our sifted gunpowder and see what the burn rate's like. This gunpowder should burn a lot faster than the coarse stuff. I'd also like to try making an improvised fuse with my fine gunpowder. Here we go. Well, that's it for today's episode, but tune in next time where we'll test our homemade gunpowder making fuses for explosives. Thanks for watching. Tune in next time, and I'll see you then. Ugh, okay. Need a fan and wet wipes. guess this will have to do for now. Haven't had soup in forever. Whoa, that's hot. I wonder if that deer I shot is still alive. Probably not. This bat's seen the worst of it. The fall was brutal. Few survived the initial outbreak. The ones who did wish they hadn't. Life has a new meaning. It's all about survival now. You'll do anything to stay alive. Anything. They say your life flashes right before your eyes, right before you die. In this world, you never get the chance.